So in this class, we are going to cover the break statement and the continue statement in Java. So the break statement, it basically lets you come out of a loop when generally you put it under some condition. So now when you have a loop like for example a while loop which keeps executing until the condition is true. Let's say some other condition happens and you want to come out of this entire loop. So if that condition happens, if that some other condition becomes true, you want to break out of the enclosing loop, the nearest enclosing loop. Okay. For example, if this while is part of another loop, this break will always come out of the nearest enclosing loop. Remember that. Break comes out of the nearest enclosing loop. Okay. So in this particular program, I'll show you a demo program how this break statement works. But before we look at the demo of the break, let's look at the continue statement as well, and then we'll look at some example programs using break and continue. So continue is a very simple thing. All it does is it skips the further statements in the loop and goes to the next iteration. So let's say you have a block. Okay. So if some other condition happens, you don't want to do the remaining statements in the loop. So it will skip the remaining statements and go and check this condition again. If it is true, it will again come and check for this some other condition and then do something else. If this is false, it will do something. If this is true, it will again continue and go and check this again. Okay. So let's look at some example programs. So in this particular program, we want to search for a certain number and find where it occurs in an array. Okay, so this array has these numbers. Okay, so you go over each element of this array and what you are searching for, you pass it as an argument to this program and you parse it as an integer. You want to search that number and you pass that to this method, which is this. So search this number is this, and then you iterate over all the elements of this array, and then you see whether each element of the array is equal to the search. If you found what you are looking for, you just want to print that you found it at position I, and then you want to break out of this. So actually let me uncomment these lines. I think I was trying to show something else. Oops. And then let's say I have another statement here. So what will happen is it will keep executing it. If it finds it, it will just come out. Okay, otherwise it will just print it. So let me run this now. It's going to throw an index out of, it's going to show the usage first. So I'm going to run with some argument. We run it with argument 4. Oops. So what did it do? Is 1 equal to 4? No, right? So it will finish this and just print font 4. font 1, then it will do font 5, then it will do font 4 at position 2. See, it prints this font 4 at position 2. And then it doesn't execute this line at line 25. When it finds it, it prints this statement and does a break. And this break is going to come out of the enclosing for loop. Okay, this is an Eclipse trick where if you go to take your mouse here and double click there, it will highlight your entire block. So this break will come out of this entire block. And then it will execute the next statement after the for loop, which is line 27. So break from the previous loop will execute this line and it prints that. Okay. So do you have any questions on this? So if you put a number that is not in that, then it will just keep printing all the numbers, but you will never see a line which will be like this. Yes, exactly. So like, or what you can do is you can put a boolean here, right? And then when it finds it, you can make the font as true, right? And in here, you can just say if font right. So now let's run I'll give some number 23. Right? Here if you want you can say execute list line. What is the number that we are looking for? Search, right? Okay. Now let's look at the demo of the continue statement. Okay. So in this particular program, we have an array of integers. Okay. And then I want to skip as soon as I find a number which is not an odd number. So here I'm percent finds the remainder when you divide it by 2. If it is not equal to 0, that means it's an odd number. So we want to skip all the odd numbers. Okay. So 0 is not an odd number. So it will say number is even. It won't go into this. It won't go into this part. So it will directly come here and then print this. Is 3 an odd number or an even number? So if you divide it by 2, what is the remainder? 1. 1 is not equal to 0. Right? And then it will see this continuous statement. So it will not execute line 13. It will go to the next value in the loop. So it will go to 4 now. 4 divided by 2 is, remainder is 0. So it will not go into the if condition. It will go here and print 4 is even. This continue will skip the remaining statement in the loop. So it will skip this line and go to the next iteration of the for loop. Continue skips the remaining statements in the loop and goes to the next iteration. So let's run this program. So I will see output like 0 is even, 4 is even, 2 is even, 6 is even, 8 is even, right? That's what I'm expecting. See that? 0 is even, 4 is even, so it's 4 is even, 2 is even, so on. Okay, so why don't you run these two programs and try to understand how it works. Okay.